Hey, friends, welcome to the Bombshell Business Podcast. This is Wisdom Wednesday, and I'm having a little fun today. As you can see, I've got a beach background behind me because I wanted to celebrate a little bit. First of all, y'all, this is Freedom Weekend. It's something to get excited about. It's something to celebrate. 250 years of freedom for our nation. 250 years. Let that sink in. This could be your Jubilee year. This could be your freedom year. This could be your year when you break through into greater freedom in your finances, your business, your ministry, your time, your family, your life. And today, I'm going to help you do that. There's one other reason why I have a fun beach background behind me. So I'm hosting a VIP day at the beach, and I'm really looking forward to it. So just for fun, I'm sitting at the beach virtually right now. And so today I could talk about a lot of the things that could be keeping you from getting to where you want to go or kind of making you stuck at your certain ceiling and struggling to get past it. But I'm only going to talk about a few of them because I don't have time to talk about all of them. So grab your cup of tea, your coffee, your water, and your notebook, and let's go. First of all, I love to know where you're at, where you're coming from, and what's working and what's not working for you. So if you can chat in, then type in the chat who you are, what you do, how you help people, and if you want, share where you're from. I want you to remember this. The more you learn, remember, and implement, the more you earn. So I love for you to engage as much as possible while I'm talking. It helps you remember, and so you can implement much better. So now that we know who you are, where you're from, and what you do, share a little more, if you will, please. If you're at 0 to 10K months, then type 1 in the chat. If you're right at 10K and you're ready to go beyond it, or even if you're a little below 10K and you're ready to go beyond it, then type 1 and 2 in the chat. But if you're beyond 10K and you're ready to go, if you're at 10K or beyond it and you're ready to go way beyond it, then type 2 in the chat. And if you're like, I'm already at 10K months and maybe even past that, and at this point, the sky is the limit for me, then type 3 in the chat. I like to get a feel for where you're coming from, where you're doing well, and what's keeping you a little bit stuck. So, have you ever wondered what's the one thing that seems to always trip me up before I have my next breakthrough, right? Some of you are having lots of breakthroughs, but it might sometimes feel like you're pushing against a wall to get to your next level. And some of you are doing all the right things to the point where you're feeling exhausted, you're feeling burned out, you're questioning your calling, and you're doing everything that's supposed to produce good fruit to the best that you know how, but you're not seeing it yet. So, are you ready to hear what are some of the things that have been keeping you from adding 10K or whatever you want to add. I'm just choosing a number, but let's not limit God to your month. Who can guess what's the number one thing? Write it down in the chat and let's see who guesses right. Are you ready? It's what's in your mind and heart. If you can see the whiteboard here, your mindset and how that goes with you everywhere, how that drives you is the number one limiter for you and also for your client that's considering your offer. Let's dive into this a little deeper for just a minute or two. Okay. When you get in your car, you don't have to think about, okay, now I got to push down on the gas pedal. Okay, now it's time to hit the brakes. Okay, I got a signal. Oh, wait, I got to check my mirror. It's been too many seconds. You feel it. You know it. Your mind is efficient and it's on autopilot and it's been there before. What was the first temptation in the garden? It was, did God really say? So questioning God's voice and that you couldn't have the fruit, right? He questioned God's voice, he twisted God's words, and he pulled her focus onto what she couldn't have when she was in a garden full of abundance with lots of trees that had lots of fruit. And she could have had all the fruit she wanted from every tree in the garden except the one God said no. And so this is echoed today. Raise your hand, type yes in the chat if you grew up hearing constantly, we can't afford it, we don't have enough money, there's not enough. And then if you went through the public education system, you probably were misindoctrinated with the ideologies of lack and scarcity, or as one of my coaches says, Coach Hannah Keeley says, scare city, right? Scare city. That's what scarcity is. You feel scared all the time. What if, you know, I don't have any next to me, but I like to sometimes wear those blue light reducing glasses. So y'all just bear with me. Pretend these are blue light glasses. They're not, but just pretend. If they were, and I were looking at you through them, everything I see would be tinted slightly kind of a yellowy color, right? That is a fact, but it's not the truth. And if I wore these glasses all the time, they would become familiar. Everything I saw through them would be normal. That would be my reality. But if I take them off and maybe even put on a different pair, I can see more clearly. So this is an example of one mindset that's limiting your client and it's limiting you. And so I want you to begin to change your mindset. What else is involved in this? Let's talk about it. Your beliefs around receiving, your beliefs around your value. If you're going into a premium sales conversation and you believe, I'm not worthy, are you going to hold your value when you ask someone to invest in themselves through you? And in so doing, are you going to be able to bring in the income that you are believing for? I don't believe in just like randomly picking a number. And I also don't believe in limiting God. I love to ask him, what do you want me to have? Do we think, here's another belief. I learned this from the wonderful Myron Golden. Many people think that the purpose of making money is to pay your bills, meet your needs, maybe do a little something fun with you and your family. But as long as we believe that about money, we're limiting God and we're limiting the capacity that He wants to give us to be a blessing. What if you started to believe that the purpose of making money is to sow into the kingdom of God and to make more money, as well as to meet your needs, pay your bills? So, what would it be like if you just went to Him and didn't limit Him and asked Him, how much do you want me to have and how do you want me to steward it? What would you do, for example, if he said, well, I want to bless you with 30K a month? We're not going to limit him, right? But let's just pick a number. Because if you have, I like to say 10K for starters, because if you're making about 10K a month, then you can usually meet you and your family's needs and maybe hire some help. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But what if you're believing bigger? What would you do with it? Maybe you'd feed a whole orphanage full of children. Maybe you'd help fund gospel crusades. Maybe you'd go on mission trips, but also maybe you'd be investing in real estate and finding ways to create multiple streams of income while focusing on doing what you love so that you can help your parents as they age, so that you can help your children. What is it that God wants to pour through you? He's looking for people that will be willing to be blessed. So I want you to keep that in mind as we talk about this. So your mindset, your beliefs, and your identities, you will never consistently grow beyond who you believe you are deep inside. Neither will your clients. And here's how it works. Let's say you're talking to your client, right? And type yes in the chat if you've ever heard, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough time, or my spouse said no, right? I think we've all heard those objections lots of times. What's really going on for them? Remember what I told you about autopilot? Your mind is efficient. Like they're really believing what they're telling you. And to some extent, it may be true, but there's always something deeper going on behind what they're telling you. And there's always something deeper going on for you. So let's talk about this for a minute. If they tell you, I don't have the money, we'll just, to save time, we'll take this one example, okay? They say, I don't have the money, I don't have enough. Okay, first of all, you already know they heard that probably the whole time they were growing up, unless they're the rare exception to the rule, right? And so that has almost become their identity. And it's not playing loud, it's not playing consciously. It's a record playing below the surface that says something like this: I'm not enough. I don't have enough. And I'm poor. I have lack. I can't afford it. I don't have the money. And it's not just a circumstance, it's an identity. Okay. But what else is it? If they knew, answer this question in the chat. If they absolutely knew that by working with you, they would get 10x the value of what they invested in themselves through you, if they absolutely knew the value of what it would bring into them and their lives, if they absolutely knew they would succeed, and, and they didn't have these limiting beliefs like, I'm a failure, I'm unworthy, I have lack, I have a coarse graveyard, right? All the things that are playing below the surface. If they believed they could succeed and have the payoff that you're bringing to them through your offer, that it would 10x their results, and that the cost of not working with you is much higher than the cost of working with you, would they actually say no? Would they actually keep believing they don't have enough money? Or would they find it somewhere because suddenly they've realized, if I don't work with this person, it's actually like I'm going to miss out on everything I've been praying for, and I'm going to have to wait for God to send another answer, or it's going to cost me more than it will if I invest in myself through this person. So, how you sell is how you buy. And many times when you're in a conversation with your clients, I like to call them people to love. Some people call them leads, right? But when you follow, always come from love, it changes everything. So I like to call them people to love. So when you're talking to your clients and your people to love, and they can see the truth clearly, and their beliefs are changing, their actions are changing. Here's the truth. Every thought and every belief produces an emotion. We might call that an energy that you're feeling in your body, right? Like, if you know what happy feels like in your body, you can describe that in the chat. If you know what joy and sadness and discouragement, those are all emotions, but they have a certain kind of energy. Like, you might feel tight when you're angry or stressed. You might feel open and energized and revived when you feel joy, right? Or excitement. So they have a thought and belief, and this produces an emotion, which leads to an action, which leads to a result. So if we change this, then we change the result. So your client is stuck in mindsets, beliefs, and false identities. And you might be too. And one of the fastest ways to change that is this. Imagine that you've got all these neural pathways going in your mind, right? And they're automatic because your mind is so efficient. So what we need to do for you and your client is scratch it up and create a new, healthier neural pathway. I love Dr. Caroline Leaf. She talks about thoughts being like trees, and healthy thoughts and toxic thoughts. And so we get to break down all of those old neural pathways and build new ones so that we can have new fruit, right? So if you want to get to 10K months and beyond, you have to work on your mindsets, your beliefs, and your identity. You have to do the deep work. That's number one. And if you're not doing that, you're going to stay stuck. Number two, well, actually, this is part of number one. You have to do this system of the both and your mindset plus your skill set. Here's why. Faith without works is dead. If you actually want to change your beliefs and your neural pathways, if you actually want to change the fruit that you're seeing in your life and in your business, then you have to take action. And the more, the better. Some of you are in situations in your life and massive action might be leading to burnout or overwhelm because of the hardness of your situation. But if you've ever read The Compound Effect, it's a wonderful book, and you will learn this beautiful truth that 1% per day, if you change 1% per day in your thoughts, your beliefs, your identity, and your actions, you'll begin to see a compound effect. I'm going to encourage you to take a lot of action. Okay, there's a saying, action quells fear, especially massive action. So if you want to change your beliefs, absolutely put God first. What's the point of growing your business if He's not first? There is no point. It will be like ashes in your mouth. Success without Him is worth nothing. The greatest success is to be filled with His presence and take the secret place into the marketplace and not only prosper like crazy, but help other people change their lives. We're there to reach people who are there all the time and may not be reached any other way. So, absolutely do the 1%, but I'm encouraging you to take as much massive action as you can. When you're doing those acts of faith, moving forward in your business and your work, doing the deep work, you're going to begin to see a change. So here we have your mindset and your beliefs plus your skill set. How are you going to work on your skill set? Let's talk about this for a moment. Have you ever heard someone say, she was born with the ability to sing opera, like the greatest singer in the world? Or she was born a concert pianist. Or he was born a skilled brain surgeon. Nobody is born with those things. They might have a natural leaning, like a lot of people that are great at sales, they might be introverts, but they still love people. So, however, people still believe this weird lie. Oh, that person's a born salesperson. Y'all, get rid of that lie. It is a skill. Can you learn a skill? If you can learn a skill, then you can learn to sell well. What is this one skill that's between you and being broke, or between you and creating legacy? My friends, I know what it's like to go through hard times. I know what it's like to go from having something to having almost nothing. I know what it's like to be the one blessing others and paying their rent and buying them food, and then have to be the one that needed help. I know what it's like to almost be homeless. And that's why I chose, and maybe you have a story too. What is your story? Why would you go through the learning curve to get to the earning curve? I want you to find a reason that's bigger than you. I'm not just doing what I do in order to help my family. I'm doing it so that my children can have entrepreneurial skills so that they can never have to be in that position of your boss just gave you the pink slip. Now, how are you going to live? Right? So, what about people beyond you? What about the people that you want to be a blessing to? What is your why that's bigger than you? You know, when the Israelites left the promised land, they did it with this informed optimism. And then they had to go through the wilderness. This is what the learning curve is like, right? It's really hard. It's a deep valley. Like I've been in those places where I questioned my calling and I questioned my identity. And I fought learning more sales skills because I knew I would have to invest more. But the truth was, without making the investment to work with a mentor, I never would have been able to attain to what I've been able to accomplish today and to be able to sit here and help you. So imagine this. A little girl is sitting at the piano for the first time with her mentor, who's teaching her how to play something very simple, like this is where middle C is. This is what it looks like. This is how you play it. She goes home and she practices. She comes back and the teacher says, good, you can play middle C. And then she starts learning simple songs and more songs. And pretty soon she's learning timing and reading music. And she's learning, to feel the music and what's the tone I use? When do I play louder? When do I play softer? And her fingers get more limber and she gets more skilled and she gets to where she can read a page full of all these tiny little notes. And she doesn't have to think about it. Her fingers fly over the keys and she plays like a master because she practiced. She did the repeated iterations to mastery, and she came back to her mentor or her coach who could say, okay, now change this, now correct this mistake, now do more of this, and let's add in this. This is how you learn sales mastery. Have you ever had a client that thought, oh, I'm just going to, I'm just going to watch the YouTube videos. I'm just going to come to your free masterclass and watch the music videos. And now I know everything and I can do it all myself. It's like that Frank Sinatra song, I did it my way. And we laugh because we know that when they duct tape strategies together like this, they're only going to have a measure of success, but they're not going to see the fruit that comes from working with you over time. The same is true for you. You must get a mentor who's a step ahead of you, who can walk you into mastery. Why would I want to do that? Maybe you're in ministry. I want you to consider this. What would the skill of premium sales change in your life? It's not about pushing, so relax. It's not about pitching and convincing and trying to make someone do something they don't want to do or trick and manipulate them into making a bad decision because their energy is high and they're in a room full of hype and everyone is saying yes and everyone is running to the front to be the first one. You can sell that way, but I don't because I choose to work with people who are really aligned clients. And I choose to work with buyers who are believers in what I teach and how I walk them through those repeated iterations to mastery. Would you rather have people come in the door and I'm trying to draw a door here, y'all. It's it's not working too well. Would you rather have people come in the door and go right back out? Or would you rather have them come into maybe something that you're introducing them to? We call it a lead generating offer. And then, your core product offer. And then they keep going and they're like, oh, I would love to be in your premium value offer. And I'm ready for your VIP. And then maybe you even have a subscription or something ongoing like that. People can start anywhere in this process. But do you want buyers who are believers or not? So when you have a mentor who walks you through the repeated iterations and helps you master the art of premium sales, what's that going to do? You're becoming like a CIA agent. I always think of like dark glasses and a fancy coat when I think of a secret agent, right? You're learning to ask higher level questions. You're learning to have higher level conversations. You're learning a kind of persuasion that's not about getting them to do something they don't want to do, but helping them see more clearly. This is the funniest light bulb I have ever drawn. You're helping them see more clearly what they want and say it out of their own mouth. This is persuading so that you're not getting on the sales call and you're like, okay, do they even know I'm going to make an offer? And if they do, what are their objections going to be? And oh my goodness, I got to overcome all these objections. Like, who likes that? I hate that. I want to have the real conversation with them that's going on down here below the iceberg before I get on that call, if I can help it. The truth is, premium sales is a very high level skill. And there's someone listening right now. This was not in my notes, but this is for you. You were devalued. You were told you're not worthy. You were constantly devalued. And maybe you weren't allowed to even have your own needs. And it's worked for you in a way because you've become excellent at what you do. You've worked hard to be the best you can be. You have a strong walk with God and you get your identity there, but there's still this record that's been playing below the surface, right? And it's been playing over and over and over again. And it gets into your life and your conversations. And here's what's going to happen. If you are willing to do those repeated iterations to mastery while you're doing the deep work, if you're willing to let God go into those places, let your coach or your mentor speak into your life, surround yourself with positive people who value you, and while you're doing that, you're actively reaching out to people and doing those repeated iterations to mastery. One day, you're going to close a higher level sale than you've ever yet closed. I believe you've had a measure of success. But when somebody pays you 5,000, 10,000 or more for your time, and they do it gladly because they see the value, they see that when they work with you, they're going to be transformed. And you're watching it happen before your eyes. When somebody pays for your time and pays for your wisdom and highly values it because they're investing in themselves through you and they're seeing a change, the next time someone tries to talk down to you, you feel it different. You have tangible proof now that you do have value, that what you carry is infinitely valuable. You start stewarding your time differently. You start stewarding your conversations differently. And when that person in your life, maybe it's somebody you love, that might be behaving a little bit narcissistically, tries to talk down to you, you're like, oh, well, you're free to believe what you want, but I remember things much differently. And it doesn't land in your heart because you've been so filled with value by God and other people, and you've been so busy helping other people, and you've been practicing holding your value again and again and again. Every time you make that offer that's so big, you feel like, okay, can I do this and not pee my pants? And then you make the offer and you see the transformation and you see the value and you're like, wow, I thought it was high, but I actually priced it too low. You will never again be abused. You will never again allow another person to have the power to make you feel worthless or valueless or even devalued. I don't know who that was for, but you can just DM me and say that was me. This was not in my notes, but sometimes you get those divine downloads and you need to speak to the person that's listening. So, mindset plus belief set, identity set plus skill set. Number one. Number two, mastering sales. It's going to change your whole life. Your conversations with your spouse will become deeper and more rich. Your children will be like, wow, mom has become so magnetic, and, they'll want to do what you ask them to do. That doesn't mean you won't go through this learning curve, right? You're optimistic about where you are right now and getting to 10K months and beyond. But once you go through that struggle, you will get here steadily if you will commit. So commit to the process of mastering sales. You're always selling or being sold to. Every situation in your life is involving sales in some way, shape, or form. And did you know that the free offer you sell sometimes harder than the paid one? I'm telling you the truth. And sometimes the low ticket offer is harder to sell than the premium value offer because premium buyers are more sophisticated. They already know I'm investing in myself, I'm making a decision for my growth, and they're committed to their growth. Whereas the people that are still stuck in their lack, they want all the freebies and they are, I love them, I bless them. I'm happy to serve different people in the different tiers of my offer. And the truth is that the lowest priced offer is usually the one that's the most work. It's the hardest and it's the quickest path to burnout. So I have so many more things I could teach you, but I only have a little bit more time. So let's move on. I told you I would show you how to have more time freedom. Ephesians 5 says, make the most of your time because the days are evil. Proverbs says, all labor has profit. So if you keep doing the work, it's going to keep working on you while you're doing it. And even when you haven't yet mastered sales and you're not yet seeing that consistent 10K month, take heart because it's working on you and it's working in you and it's working through you. And you're storing up things that are beyond monetary wealth. And listen, there's a law of seed, time, and harvest. When you bury that good seed into good soil and it starts to to grow roots, well, if you want it to bear fruit, you're not going to keep pulling it up out of the ground saying, is this working? Is this working? Is this working? Because if you do, you're not going to have any fruit. But if you plant an apple seed and it grows in good soil, it'll become a shoot, right? And one day it will turn into a tree that bears lots of fruit. And all those fruits have seed in them. And when you plant those seeds in good soil, then you could have a whole orchard full of apples. And then you could take those trees and have another and another and another. You could feed generations. This is what premium sales can do. So, what am I saying now when I'm talking about buying back your time? Remember how I shared about Myron Golden? One of the main purposes of making money, if you're wealthy, is to make more money. Now, of course, we're going to put that money to work doing all kinds of good things, you know. I love the joy of giving someone a big tip and watching their eyes. And I don't know who this story is for, but years ago, my daughter and I, she was just a toddler at the time, and we were in this restaurant, and I'm sitting there, and the waitress was so grumpy. I dreaded talking to her. She was so grumpy. And Holy Spirit said, I want you to write her a check for $100 out of your business account and give it to her as a tip. And I'm like, holy smokes, really? She is so grumpy and mean. I learned a lesson that day I will never forget. And I'm not saying this to talk about me. Somebody listening has never really yet seen how much you could impact somebody else's life through your generosity. This is one of the ways that I want you to invest your money. Okay. And the other way, besides taking care of your family, is start making more money with it. Myron Golden says, let your money have babies, right? Okay. So we go back into the restaurant and she walked up to us. She was so amazed. She was like, I'm a recovering alcoholic. And I think she was about to lose her home. And all she needed was that $100. Never say no when God tells you to do something crazy, wild, generous like that. I now love being the person that's like, okay, you said give this person a big tip. Okay, you said, take this present to everybody back there in the pharmacy. Whatever you say, I'll do it. Right? Start using the resources you have to multiply blessing to people and start investing in yourself and in others to multiply what you have. What's one way you can do that? When you get to 10K months, the first thing I want you to do is start buying back your time. Get some help so that you can focus on your zone of genius. Because when you can make $5,000 or $10,000 an hour, do you really want to do the lower level tasks? What if you could offload things like washing dishes or some of the other things you do? All those things are important. All of them have value, but you can bless someone else with a job and stay in your zone of genius. You can buy back your time so you have more time for your family. We were never meant to be slaves to money. We were meant to let money serve the purposes of the kingdom of God in and through us. So work on your mindset plus your skill set. Master the skill of sales. You will have so much more freedom in your life, not just because of how you're buying back your time, not just because of how you're able to pay off all your bills, but because of how those skills change every area of your life. And then buy back your time. Do those three things, and you will begin to prosper and grow and prosper and grow and prosper and grow. So I want to close with this. Some of you this is really resonating with you. Remember, I said you need to have a mentor to really master those repeated iterations in your sales process. And I'm not saying that it's me. I know I'm a great fit for some people, and not everyone is a good fit for me, and I'm not a good fit for them. But if this is resonating with you and you're feeling like, I need to explore this a little more, just reach out and here in the chat, type audit, and my team and I will reach out to you and we'll just hop on a 10-minute call to see if or how I might be able to help you. Have a glorious day, and I'll see you again